Saudi Arabia's residential real estate market has seen contrasting trends across its major cities over the past 12 months, with Riyadh experiencing a slowdown while Jeddah and the holy cities record notable growth. In this context, we explored the key drivers behind these shifts, the outlook for Riyadh, the reason for Jeddah's stronger performance, the surge in demand in Medina, and the expected impact of changes in international ownership laws. With Susan Ammawi, Executive Partner, General Manager at KSA Knight Frank MENA, and Faisal Durani, Partner Head of Research at Knight Frank MENA. Hello, Faisal and Suzanne, and thank you for joining us at Al Nahar.
Hello, hi Paula, thank you for having us.
Hi Paula, thank you for having us.
So Faisal, the first question will be for you. Your report at Knight Frank states that residential transaction volumes and values fell in Riyadh by 31 and 20% respectively over the last 12 months. What is driving the slowdown in your opinion?
This is a great question, Paula, because over the last 3 years, we have seen record-breaking house price growth in Riyadh. In fact, since 2019, apartment prices have almost doubled in Riyadh and villa prices have increased by over 50%. And salaries and incomes have not kept pace with this level of increases. And we have started to see affordability issues creeping into the market. So buyers are having to save bigger deposits for longer periods of time before they're able to make that property transaction. In addition to that, we also have a central pillar of Vision 2030, which is to boost the home ownership rate up to 70% by the end of the decade. This has jumped from about 44% back in 2016 to about 65.5% today. So we are getting quite close to this government target of 70%. So the pool of potential first-time buyers is also reducing. But at the end of the day, the affordability issues are key considerations for buyers. And a couple of months ago, we had the government release land in the north of Riyadh, priced at 1,500 riyals per square meter. And what we have actually seen anecdotally is that some buyers who had committed to buying real estate have decided to take a wait and see approach. They want to see what developers will launch on this more affordable land in case the property is more affordable. And some of them are thinking actually they may be able to buy their own land and build their own home, which would be cheaper. So at the end of the day, it does boil down to affordability issues. But look, right now, as I say, prices in Riyadh are at record high levels. So we may be approaching a new peak in this market cycle. And if we are, that is a good, healthy, and perfectly normal thing that you experience in any market globally.
Mm-hmm. So what is your outlook for the Riyadh residential market?
I mean, look, fundamentally, the demand in Riyadh is strong. And it is strong for Saudi as a whole as well. We have an extremely strong demographic story. We've got about 60% of the population aged below 30, 45% of the population aged below 25. This is where the future demand for housing is going to come from. We have, through our economic consulting and geospatial teams, run analysis and modeling around this, and we know that by 2030 in Saudi, we need 830,000 new homes for Saudi nationals alone. But the challenge we have today is that we are building housing that is more expensive than the average Saudi household can afford. Through our Saudi report, we know that 40% of Saudis have a maximum budget of 1.5 million riyals to buy a large family home. And to be honest, at that price point, they are going to find it very difficult in cities like Riyadh to afford something at that price.
Thank you, Faisal. We will move to Susan. And Susan, we want to ask you about Jeddah. In Jeddah, transaction values and volumes have been rising. Why is this market performing better than Riyadh, in your opinion?
As you said, Paula, Jeddah is actually seeing the opposite trend, with transaction values up nearly 30% and volumes up almost 20%. The main reason I would say is the demolition of the older housing in the south of Jeddah, which has shifted the demand up north, where new projects are being developed which focus on high quality and affordable prices. Also, the migration from nearby cities like Mecca, Abha, Jazan has added to the momentum. Jeddah has always been a city with strong lifestyle appeal for many families. So Jeddah remains a seasonal or a secondary base, I would say, which supports the ongoing demand.
In Medina also, the total value of home sales has increased by 49% over the last 12 months. Why is there so much demand for housing in the holy cities, in your opinion?
So demand in Medina and Mecca as well is anchored by its role as a holy city. It's drawing demand from residents, investors, and also pilgrims who want a permanent space in those cities. New projects such as Al-Medina are transforming the city with modern housing, hotels, and infrastructure. There's also the anticipation of the new ownership law, which will allow international Muslim buyers to buy into Mecca and Medina, which is fueling confidence and increasing demand in these cities.
Okay, back to you, Faisal. What is the likely impact of the change in the international ownership laws for the Saudi residential market?
So the international ownership law is something that we've actually been anticipating for several years. And as we understand, in January next year, international buyers will be allowed access to the residential real estate market in Riyadh and Jeddah in specific neighborhoods or specific projects, while for Mecca and Medina, there will be different rules. Now, we have seen a similar approach being taken elsewhere in the region, in Oman, in Abu Dhabi. When those markets were first opened to international buyers, they took a similar approach, where the international buyers were focused on specific neighborhoods and specific projects. And what happened over the long term is these areas had much stronger house price growth than the rest of those cities. And that is because international buyers were competing with domestic buyers for limited stock in small neighborhoods, whereas the rest of those locations saw more stable house price growth. So depending on what the Saudi authorities decide to do, if they eventually open up the market more widely than these designated neighborhoods and projects, we may see a different type of performance. But this is what we know so far. But alongside this, we would also need more details on the legislation that goes alongside the international ownership laws. For the international buyers to have confidence in investing in Saudi, we need to see international buyer protections. We need things like escrow accounts. We need local financing options. And we're hoping to see all of these announcements come over the next 6 months until January.
Faisal and Suzanne, do you have any advice for investors who want to buy maybe in Saudi Arabia? Do you have any advice where to buy and what kind of land they should buy today?
So as Knight Frank, we think there's a lot of good potential opportunities in Saudi Arabia, namely, for example, in Riyadh residential apartments are the way to go. But also we see that in Jeddah, Mecca and Medina, and also in the south, where Asir is definitely a region that is upcoming. It has a lot of potential when it comes to the infrastructure, the services, and the weather.
Thank you. Suzan Amawi, Executive Partner, General Manager, KSA Knight Frank Mina, and Faisal Durani, Partner, Head of Research, Knight Frank Mina. Thank you for joining us at Al Nahar.
Thank you for having us.